Well, yeah, it's a strong contender for the coveted Golden Peacock Award this year. And I must admit, the movie got a great response yesterday. I was watching it, and for those who haven't watched it, I'll give you a brief introduction. So the movie is based on Satyajit Ray's short story, Golpo Boliye Tarini Khoro. Was it right? Khoro, yeah. So the movie basically amalgamates wit, drama, and Ray's storytelling genius, which is deftly handled by director Sri Anant Narayan Mahadevan. And the National Awards actor Sri Paresh Rawal dons the role of Tarini Bandopadhyay, while Sri Adil Hussain effortlessly handles the role of business baron Garodia. Actresses Miss Tanishta Chatterjee and Miss Anindita Bose bolster the plot with their brilliant performances, and the cameo by Miss Revati adds another layer of finesse to the movie. Right, so now let me introduce the cast and crew very briefly. So the movie is produced by Quest Films, and it's headed by Ms. Sunanda Chatterjee and Ms. Shubha Shetty. Ms. Shubha Shetty will be joining us in a while. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
So, the movie is directed by Sri Anant Mahadevan, and he's a National Award winning actor and director, and he has done many movies in the regional film industry like Me Sindhutai Sapkal, Rough Book, and My God. The lead actor is Sri Paresh Rawal. He is a known actor, comedian, film producer, and politician, and he's appeared in over 240 films and received various accolades. He won the National Film Award for Best Supporting Actor in both Chokri and Sir. So I think both Paresh sir and Anand sir couldn't make it. Maybe they will join us in a while. Sri Adil Hussain has worked in Indian cinema, including art house cinema, mainstream Bollywood, many web series, as well as the international cinema. He has received National Film Awards, special jury at the 2007 National Film Awards for Hotel Salvation and Majrati Keteki. Sir has also acted in English, Hindi, Assamese, Bengali, Tamil, Marathi, Malayalam, Norwegian, and French films. That's a long list, sir. Ms. Tanishta Chatterjee is also a multilingual actress. She is known for her performance in Sarah Gavron's Brick Lane. She was nominated for the British Independent Film Awards as the Best Actress for Brick Lane. And Ms. Chatterjee has also acted in English, Hindi, Bengali, and Marathi. Ms. Anindita Bose is an Indian actress in the Bengali language film and television. So she is commercially successful. She has acted in the commercially successful movie Bhuter Bobisho. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the team of the storyteller. Now, let's watch the trailer of the movie.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. आवाज़ मिल रही है? आपने अभी ये ट्रेलर देखा और स्टोरी टेलर फिल्म का नाम है. परेश रावल जी नहीं है, उनको आपने देखा. लोग इंतज़ार भी काफ़ी कर रहे थे मैम कि वो आएंगे. आनंद महादेवन जी भी को लोग वेट कर रहे थे कि वो भी आएंगे. और कल आप लोग का एक गाला इवेंट भी यहाँ होना था समहाउ एट 6:30 PM आफ्टर द मूवी जिस समय चल रही थी. तो मीडिया वर वेटिंग बट नहीं हो पाया, शायद आप लोग नहीं आ पाए. तो आज आपके नहीं स्क्रीनिंग के दौरान ही, स्क्रीनिंग के बाद ये था कि मीडिया से भी आके इधर भी मिलेंगे.
हमें नहीं पता.
हाँ, अच्छा. तो वो एक गाला इवेंट टाइप का बड़ा इवेंट का कुछ ग्रुप में कि एक नॉट ओनली मीडिया डेलीगेट्स भी, फिल्म डेलीगेट्स भी आपसे मिल सकते थे. तो नहीं, कोई उसमें सारी का बात नहीं मैम, ये तो फेस्टिवल है. फेस्टिवल में सब थोड़ा बहुत इधर होना चाहिए. आज मीडिया आपके साथ है और स्टोरी टेलर की थोड़े से आपने देख लिया, काफ़ी लोग देखे होंगे, काफ़ी लोग नहीं देखे होंगे, तो आपको इस फिल्म में मज़ा आएगा। 60 साल के बाद का क्या हालत होती है, हमने भी, मैं मूवी नहीं देख पाए। तो अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा आदिल सर से कि आप कुछ बातें अपनी जो भी आप कह सकते हो सर मीडिया को एड्रेस करें, उसके बाद सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे बारी बारी से, एंड देन आपसे सवाल होंगे सर कुछ।
मेरे ख्याल से बेहतर होगा कि प्रोड्यूसर
फर्स्ट
जो बैठे
प्रोड्यूसर,
हैं
इट्स अप टू यू सर।
वो इस फिल्म के बारे में बताएं। ओके, मैं एक्टर हूं और ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ठीक से मैं निभा नहीं पाता हूं, क्योंकि जो स्क्रिप्ट मुझे दिया जाता है वही पढ़ के थोड़ा बहुत कर लेता हूँ एक्टिंग।
सर एक्चुअली जनरली तो हम पहले डायरेक्टर को करते हैं, बट डायरेक्टर
हाँ,
साहब भी
मुझे
नहीं
मालूम है, तो डायरेक्टर का रोल मैं नहीं निभा पाऊंगा, लेकिन फिर भी ये कहानी जो है सत्यजीत रे द्वारा लिखी गई है बहुत दिन पहले, और आई थिंक इट इज़ a privilege for any writer director to bring such a story and to make it as a tribute to this great master that India has gifted to the world, who got Oscar, honorary Oscar before he passed away. And I remember Anand ji, the director, talking about it a lot. So I'm going to sort of quote from his speeches that I have attended with him in the press conferences across the country, and when we did it in Busan. So he feels that this is, of course, we are celebrating his birth centenary here across the globe, Satyajit Ray. So he thought that this would be a wonderful story to sort of show our gratitude to the great master, where he talks about plagiarism, and it's such a wonderful way to create an ambiguous story that what is actually copyright, or what is original, what is not original. So at the end of the film, I don't want to divulge much. If you haven't seen it, I guess you would
yeah,
be...
most of them seen also, sir.
Achha. So at the end, you see, when both the characters they start writing the same story, and I was like, oh my God, this is such an ambiguous way to finish the story, to let you question that who is now going to be considered, that whose story will be original now, because they're writing the same story about their life, what happened. And that's the kind of genius that Satyajit Ray had in his storytelling. And he was not only a story writer, he was of course a filmmaker. We all know that. He was a sketch artist, and he did wonderful music for his own films also. So when the director got an opportunity, of course he worked hard to find money for it. I was told, even yesterday I was told, that it took 3 years for him to gather the money. So thank you, Shubha Shetty ji and Suchandra ji, who is not here yet, Quest Films and Purpose Production, and Geo finally came on board. The man who is hiding behind, he represents Geo Films, and he is the one who finally got us into making it possible for the world to watch this amazing movie. But it would be better that if you ask me questions or ask all of us questions, but this is basically the intent behind it, to pay tribute to this great master, and to also celebrate his writing. And we all consider ourselves lucky. I'm probably saying on everybody's behalf that we consider ourselves very lucky to be part of this film, and I wish Paresh ji was here, but he's not here. He did a fabulous job. So let's go into question and answer.
ठीक है, नहीं, now I request Shubha ma'am to speak something, because as sir said कि you find very difficult to
Always.
for the money.
Yes. So when Anand sir came to us with this story, which he had already bought the rights for, we really loved the story. I am sure most of you would when you watch the film, and we thought this would be a tribute to the man in our own humble way. But as it is mentioned by Anant earlier, it was difficult to kind of make people accept in this time and age for something like this. So yeah, it was a difficult journey, but at the end of it, it seems all worth it.
Yes.
Anandita ma'am, you want to share something? At least share your thoughts. What are you thinking about this film?
Well, yesterday I saw the film for the first time myself, so I was as thrilled and as excited as everyone else, and just to be a part of a film. First of all, a Satyajit Ray story, because of course I've grown up reading his stories, and just everything about him has always been so magical for me. So then to be a part of his story, which has been adapted into a film, was a huge deal for me. To be Tarini Bandyopadhyay's wife was I was like, okay, wow, like I never imagined that I would be playing Anuradha, but then this is what we do. We are actors because we love living these lives, and just to get an opportunity to play Anuradha was a big deal for me. And then to be a part of a film where we have Paresh sir, Adil sir, Tanishta. I was telling Tanishta while we were coming yesterday on the flight that I've been such a huge fan of hers, like for so many years. So just to be a part of a film where all these big actors and Anand sir are directing this film. So for me, it has been a magical moment. So last night was, you can say, like it was a dream come true for me.
Actor and cast Tanisha Chatterjee, ma'am is also here. Ma'am, अपने विचार कुछ साझा कीजिए.
मुझे लगता है कि maybe let's open the house for questions, because everybody has said everything. और अगर आप लोगों के पास कोई सवाल है, अगर आपने फिल्म देखी है, कमेंट्स है, कुछ भी है, तो हम डिस्कस कर सकते हैं.
ज़्यादा लोगों को तो ये सवाल यही थे, अभी भी हमसे पूछ रहे थे कि चूंकि हमने इनवाइट ही किया था कि वो भी लोग डायरेक्टर भी होंगे. हाँ. तो वो सवाल तो कोई सवाल नहीं होता मैम. लोग परेश रावल को पर्दे पर भी देखे हैं. हाँ. तो अगर आप कुछ नहीं करें तो हम इनवाइट करें उधर से. हाँ,
वही मैं कह रही हूँ कि आप हाउस ओपन कीजिए.
यस सर, नाउ यू कैन आस्क क्वेश्चंस और एनी query if you have. Anyone please? We have a set of mic उधर दीजिएगा फिर.
नहीं है क्वेश्चन.
अरे नहीं सर, ऐसा कैसे होगा? अभी तो लोग एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे सर कि आप लोग और बोलेंगे. लास्ट ईयर केन कटर थी आनंद महादेवन सर की, और उनकी फिल्म के बाद वो घंटों तक उस पर डिस्कशन ही चलते रहे केन कटर पे. तो आई थिंक आनंद महादेवन की मूवी है तो ऐसे खत्म नहीं होगी. मूवी तो डायरेक्टर तो वही है. आई थिंक बाकी टीम चेंज होगा.
हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे जितना
It's a wonderful film. I was wondering, this is for the cast here, if you read the short story, how much did the final film differentiate from the short story? And if you can tell me about the script process, how much changed from what was on the page to what we finally see in the film?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
More of a question for a director, but Adil, would you like to answer that since you're a...
I had been asked not to, because I remember when I was, I asked Ang Lee when I did his Life of Pi that should I read the book, and he said please don't. So I take that because a film version of a story is so different than what is written, because it's a different language altogether, different way of expressing a story. So I read it long back when I was pretty young, like probably 30 years ago, and I don't remember much. So I did not read it. So I would not be able to answer how much is there and how much is not there, but probably most of it is there. Most of it is there, and that's why I'm saying probably. So don't quote me on this, and because Anandji will kill me. So I think when the script came and I read the script, and it felt like very, very well written, and I could smell Mr. Satyajit Ray, sort of speaking through the words and through the scenes, and his wit and the humor and subtle way of talking about life and contradiction of what is original, what is not, as I had spoken before. So it did not warrant, for me to read the original story. Okay, let me, without telling the director, should I read this story? So I did not read it. So I would not be able to pinpoint your to tell you exactly how much is there and how much is not there.
And then what about from the actual script to what we finally see in the film? Improvisation, how much really changed?
Not much improvisation, because I don't think when a script is written with such organicity and it flows very organically, when it flows from one sentence or one word to the other word in a sentence, or one scene to the other scene, it's already there. And I'm an actor who doesn't have the audacity suddenly to start improvising. Like I did Shakespeare, I did Othello for 10 years, and I can't improvise Shakespeare. Even if I can improvise Bengali or Hindi, I'm talking about the language, the way it is written, is modern way of writing, expressing story. I generally respect the director's writing, because they have spent years and years on a script, and who am I to come within 2 months and say, oh, can I change it? I don't do that unless I am told on their own, like without me asking them, that Adil, this is just a blueprint, you can take off. Then it's a different matter altogether. But otherwise, I generally don't even ask, can I change it? Because I'd like to respect that, and I have the discipline and the experience of not changing a single word or a full stop or a comma. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, your question that you asked over here, as a filmmaker, one of the advice that I would give people who ask questions the way you have, if you have seen the film, please read the script. The director who has made the film, please read the biography also, because this man is faithful. If you're dealing with Satyajit Ray, you don't fool around. He's a doyen, internationally known doyen. If a short story is written, then people will try to be as faithful to the story. Why? Because in Bengal, and I mean, another film was made on the life of Satyajit Ray, Aparajito, the new version.
Yeah.
That the director interpreted the story, where the story is entirely the making of Pather Panchali, but he's changed all the names. So all of us recognize what is what, but he has changed the names, and the Bengalis are up in arms. What have they done? All right.
Very
So,
sentimental.
and
Yeah.
Anant Mahadevan has made several films, national award-winning films, and in fact, we've taken his films to our festival in Paris. So I don't think, I wouldn't like to say he wouldn't dare, because he's not the kind of guy who will dare, but he's the kind who will, almost
Respected, yeah.
respect. He was there and answering a lot of questions in Mumbai when they were discussing this film there. In a short story, how do you interpret, how do you create a screenplay? Then after the screenplay, how does an actor render it? I mean, Mr. Adil will, render it differently the way I would render it. First of all, there will be a 3-inch difference in height. So that's the difference.
Now you asked the question, because question.
So no, the question over here is this:
If the
that
someone asks
have
a
you
question-
read the
No,
book?
but you are not supposed to ask him a
Yes,
question.
sir.
We are
Huh.
asking
Because
us.
this
No,
is the
therefore,
conference
in
of-
our,
Please, this
in
is
our
the
question,
conversation.
Yes,
as
yes,
you
maybe-
have said, no, because what
Yeah.
was happening is there's a lot of this stuff happening, and in the short story, I mean, most of the questions I've answered, because
Yes,
it's
sir,
the whole
you
thing is
asked
about
the
storytelling.
Now you change your.
Because this is
You change your
about our-
finger to
Just-
the dash, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, one of my questions has already been asked, so I'll come to Anandita before I come to Mr. Adil Hussain.
Please stick to
Uh,
it.
Oh, no.
I would like to come to you.
Pressure.
So, I have interviewed a lot of actors, and many actors have said that probably they would have done the role differently than what they have done in the film. So how happy, or I would say not happy, you are with your performance in the film?
Wow. I don't know. Okay. See, usually I'm a director's actor. I go very unprepared on the set, apart from, of course, learning my dialogues to the T. I really depend on my director. I depend on my actors. I depend on my costume, the way I'm looking. So you know, once you put me in that scenario and in that set, I'll become that person. Before that, I do not usually do any kind of preparation. So whatever I have done is I usually take, like, you know, catch on to everyone else's energy, and then that is what I do. So what I did, what I saw yesterday on the screen was just me, you know, kind of just doing that what I've been doing, and I don't know, you all will be able to see if I did a good job or not. I liked what I did. I
did?
Of course I did.
And
of course,
we liked it too.
and also definitely loved the film. For me, I was like, wow, like, you know what, like it was the best, I would say, version of, like, I feel like Shotyajit sir would have definitely been happy to see this version of Tarini Khuro's story, because you know, it had everything. It had that essence, it had that Bangaliness, and just his, you know, intelligent humor and everything that his movies were about. And I thought that Anand sir did such a brilliant job in keeping that essence and not really experimenting too much with it. And so I just feel really proud to be a part of this film. And I really wish that Anand sir and Paresh sir could have been here to actually give you all the juicier details. But you know, they had to catch a flight and, you know, go back, and they were specially here yesterday for the premiere. But both of them had work, and they had to fly out today in the morning. So I'm so sorry about that. I wish they were here to give you all more juicier details. But yeah, that is what I can tell you about my bit to the film. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Adil, there were strong reports that you have replaced Nasiruddin Shah in the film. There were strong reports in the media.
I have
So
no idea.
you have
Absolutely no clue.
So this,
I'm hearing it from you.
Okay. This questions.
I mean, Nasir Saab is my teacher,
Okay.
and I have love and affection and huge respect, but I had no idea. But what is your question?
My question.
Are you trying to confirm or deny? Neither confirm nor deny.
My question would have been whether you talked to Mr. Shah about replacing him, but it's now redundant since you didn't know about it.
Oh, no, I had no clue at all whatsoever, but
No.
he definitely would have done a way far better job than me, for sure, 100%. He taught me acting at the National School of Drama, so I bow down to him for what he has done for me. Yeah.
My question here is for Adil Hussain ji. You have done so many films.
Ji.
Where do you rate this film? And how impactful this film can be to perceive the life beyond 60s?
100 on 10.
Sorry, how do I rate this film? A 5 out of 5, absolutely. There are so many films which I have done, but it's one of the finest, I think, that I'm proud to be part of. Not only because it's in every sense of the word, in terms of the story, first of all, the way it has been told, the way it has been directed, the literature which comes, because generally most of the films that we see are made, especially in our part of the world, is that it is poor in literature. And that needs to be worked upon in Indian film writing, and I think that is one of the weakest part in Indian films. Writing literature, like we studied dramatic literature, for example, Shakespeare's, Ibsen and Goldoni or Tartuffe or Kalidasa or Bhasa, all these amazing, Mohan Rakesh and Vijay Tendulkar, but we don't see great writing of that stature in Indian films. There are, of course, but I'm just saying we need to see more. And because of that, I was enjoying, even my 12-year boy who saw the film in Busan, he was like, Papa, it's so wonderful, it's so funny, it's so witty, and he got it. And then I thought, okay, so if one can speak to a 12-year-old boy, then I think it is one of the finest that I have ever acted in.
Good afternoon. Hi, it was a wonderful movie. Saw it brilliantly done. She's amazing too, yes. The question is, everyone was amazing. Adil, the question is, was it difficult for you to judge your own character? Like, did you judge him a lot while playing the role?
Judge the character. I mean, the role that had been
judge
written.
The role, like the character.
No, I mean, I keep saying this to a lot of my students also when I teach acting, that you have to be in love with the role that you play. If you have if you have an iota of judgment for the role you play, you will not be able to fit into the role, because I'll shy away from being so truthful, and I think it's so important for any actor. That's why I keep saying the journey of an actor is to walk from your smaller self to a larger self, which is of, if for the sake of example, I would say Jesus or Ramakrishna Paramahansadev, you have to be that large-hearted in order to embrace Hitler, to play Hitler. Hitler cannot embrace Jesus, but Jesus can embrace Hitler. He has got the largeness of his heart. So as an actor, our journey is to become deeply empathetic in order for us to play the roles generally that we judge in our society, in order to create empathy for those people also, because that's what probably actors gift to the world, that can you be empathetic when you watch even Hitler, that you understand, you don't agree, but you understand why he did what he did. I'm not saying he did terrible things, but to be able to create empathy is our job, so that we don't kill each other, we bring people together. That's the role of art, and especially a powerful medium like cinema.
Last question. What's your take on plagiarism? Because it's such, like you said, a very grey area. It's an occupational hazard now. I mean, if you look at journalism, movie making, where do you draw the line? What is actually plagiarism? You never know. It's very difficult. We can't run it through a scanner all the time. So what do you think? You write as well, yes. So if you, even your thoughts, if you replicate it, do you credit that person? What's your take on it?
I think it's a very complicated question. You know, many years back I had done a play written by Farooq Dhondi called Brainchild. Did you watch that play? Okay, anyway. Yeah, Roy had directed it. So, and the thing is that, yes, on the one hand, as creators, as creative people, we do get extremely offended when we do see something has been blatantly copied, because you've kind of nurtured it like a baby. It's your creative outlet and everything. But you know, this whole capitalistic again approach on copyright is again taking it too further now. Like if we want to use a piece of music which inspires us, we love it, and we want to use it in a film, we want to use a quote from somebody, everything has to be paid for. You know, I want to use the Beatles, who I love, I want to use an old Hindi film song, and I can't do it. You know, I have to pay money, so I have to create a new lyrics, but you know, the context that particular piece of music or that piece of poem or that reference or that name actually gives to that story is irreplaceable. So I think taking copyright again to that extreme fanaticism is again, putting a capital into that whole, a price tag to it, and making it a product, and then drawing boundaries and not letting creative people actually express freely. I do not agree with that extremism. Having said that, yes, should there be an integrity in artists and in the community itself that, I should not blatantly copy somebody else's work? I think it should be our individual responsibility, rather than, again, coming to a spiritual respect in the artistic community, rather than saying that, oh, this is a very extremist law which will not allow me to get inspired from anything, So I really feel it is free for all, right? I mean, that's why we create art as well. I mean, I know the producers might not agree because they put in so much money, and in that way, cinema is a very expensive art form, or a form of expression, which is where, commerce is involved a lot. But, art is it's to communicate, it's to have a dialogue, it's to have all this. So, as an artist, I feel that the world should be free.
No boundaries.
Oh, Sanjay is looking at me like, Geo.
Thank you, Tanisha ma'am. On this note, I would like to ask producer Shubha Shetty ma'am. Ma'am, how did this idea of the movie Storyteller, the journey of Storyteller start? Could you please let us know?
So the idea didn't come to us. All credit to the director, Anant Mahadevan. He had loved the story. He went ahead and bought the rights from Sandeep Ray, and after that he approached us. So we just saw the story, and obviously what is there not to love about this story? And that's how the journey began. And I must thank Purpose Entertainment and Geo Studios, because they kind of gave us the support that we needed to. That's how this whole thing happened.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions?
I have a question related to the plagiarism discussion. So I watched the movie and it's a wonderful movie. But being Ray, there are so many subplots, and I haven't read this particular story. But I came out feeling a little sad about the fact that here is this man who used to tell stories for the love of it, and at the end of the movie, he begins to monetize them or thinks of them as a monetary benefit. So what are your thoughts on this? Because that made me a little sad.
That's a lovely question.
Yeah. But I think that is the representation, I think that is the representation of the world that we are moving towards, and exactly what I was speaking about, that, as artists, as creators, we just create. But unfortunately, or whatever, the world that we live in monetizes everything, and it's about products. Everything has a price tag. Like, it's not only about storytelling, like everything has it. Copyright has an issue in medical science, in any scientific research as well. It's like, I have a lab and I'm creating something for humanity, but it has a price. As a scientist, I probably, I have a lot of scientist friends, and I talk to them, and this is their entire struggle as well. So it's a very large debate, and in fact, it's a moral debate. It's I mean, I don't know how to. I don't think any one of us have an answer to that, and we all probably think about it, because at the core of it, we all want things to be free in the world for everyone. My 7-year-old daughter sometimes asks me this, that, Mama, why do we have to pay money for everything? Why can't I just get that? Why can't I just go to Goa because I want to go there? So I don't know how to answer.
I think there's one more interesting aspect. I mean, what she said, it is a very, very complex debate on whether or what kind of principles, laws we should form. It should be a very, very complex, it would be a very complex debate, but I guess towards the end, and bringing the film into the discussion, towards the end when he says, "Na, main bina paisa ke kuch nahi karta hu abhi," I think there is, if you look at it from, I'm very influenced by Indian mystics, so I'm going to quote, say it from there, something that I remember. It says that anything you do, either you truly express gratitude if you receive something from somebody, could be a song for a film, you have truly expressed gratitude within and acknowledge, or you pay. And that's the karmic law, that unless you pay, you will not get anything. You know, so anything you think you're getting free, you have to face consequences. So I think Satyajit Ray, I didn't know whether he was an atheist or he was a believer. I have no idea how much he has delved into Indian mysticism. I have no clue. But I think it is very important that, like for example, some people copy, they don't even acknowledge that I have copied from here. You know, there are few films made in Bollywood I have seen. Arey, ye to udhar se hai, ye to this particular scene is copied from that film, but there is no mention of anybody. So then you have to pay for it by, you know, in some way or the other. Sorry, I think it is a bit too esoteric what I said, but it is true.
I just think it's like, you know, life is like things are constantly changing. Like we are in a time where reels and posting and Instagram has become like such a huge deal. So I think he just, at the end of the film, for me at least, that is how I saw it, that he just gave in to the change, and that is what just happened for Tarini
That's what she
Khudo.
was. Is this degradation or is it deterioration? Yeah.
Going with the change. Going with the flow.
And it just change. It is how
Yeah.
the future.
But
I
very
think,
good question.
I think the most important thing is he understood his worth, which is what he thought.
Correct.
But is worth always monitored for this
Yeah, I know.
discussion?
Why not? Why not?
Thank you for your thoughts.
Just before the next question, we would like to welcome Suchanda Chatterjee, ma'am, from the Quest Films. Yes, next question, please. So.
Yeah, hello. Here. Yeah, so very hearty welcome to all of you and congratulations on your film. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch it yet, but I'm quite sure that I will be doing it at the first opportunity available. I saw the trailer. In the trailer, it is mentioned one of the dialogues is that thinking and doing are different, or thinking is not the same thing as doing. Am I right?
नहीं, ये दुनिया सोचने वालों के लिए नहीं, करने वालों के लिए है.
Okay, so is this something which the film as a whole, if we can attribute there is a spirit or a personality to the film, does the character of does the film and the filmmakers and the actors and the producers, all of you who are here, do you share this belief?
Sujendra, we had been talking a lot.
Yeah.
Now it's your time.
Can you just repeat your question?
Okay, so Adil Hussain has just clarified my question, saying that the dialogue, there is a dialogue in the movie which says that ये दुनिया, the world is for doers, not for thinkers. ये दुनिया करने वाले के लिए है, सोचने वाले के लिए नहीं. So I'm asking whether all of you share this belief or not.
Absolutely.
So is that a unanimous yes from the dais?
I think
we all have.
No.
Yeah, it's
Not completely.
So
I
could you
think.
please clarify the points of disagreement?
She was saying something.
So
I think it's सोच के करने वालों के लिए है.
So basically, I feel I would
You
lean
know,
towards your point of view, and I strongly disagree with the dialogue which is there in the film, because I believe is there really a distinction between thinking and doing?
no, I think you have to see the film and you have to see it in the context of when that dialogue
Why and
comes.
when it was
You
said,
can't
yeah.
just have a blanket. You know, this is why trailers, Instagram, and Twitter is problematic because in 140 characters, you just say that much, but there is a background, context, everything to why at that point of time that particular character actually expresses it. So only when you watch the film that you would know in what context is he saying that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't want to. I don't want to question that. But so if you could briefly.
So you can't just say, in the trailer I saw that one line and therefore I don't agree with the film or I don't agree with this because it's not.
No, I'm not saying. I don't say.
The philosophy of that. Okay. No, I mean obviously, and then the film is also not saying that. I think like Shubha very rightly pointed out that it's both, and it is. It's not what that film is also about.
No, please don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning the film.
You were saying something, no?
No, I was talking about Satyajit Ray. As you said, he was completely an atheist.
Oh,
And
was he?
in Bengal, we have not seen him in the Puja Pandal also. That's
Oh, really?
biggest festival very often. I mean, there is not a single picture with Satyajit Ray unless otherwise he's shooting there in the Puja Pandal. So he was completely an atheist. You can ask Sandeep that way. Anyway, you're talking about the thinking and doing. You know, when Satyajit Ray wrote this story, all of you know that this was a short story of Tarini Khuro. He has written a lot of stories of this character called Tarini Khuro. This is one of the stories which he had written out of vengeance, out of frustration.
Yes.
Okay, and this is just he thought, oh my God, the world is like this. Let me write a story on this, story on plagiarism. So this is beautifully written, you know, and very tactfully written without hurting anybody's emotion. If you find out in that, you know, I mean, he didn't make Tarini Khuro a villain, and it was just, you know, some kind of the entire film. Even Garodia, he didn't make anybody a villain. He didn't hurt anybody's sentiment, any writers or a storyteller's sentiment. So beautifully, if you see the last scene of our film, it is told that how can you compare a storyteller and a story writer? When a story, who is bigger? Nobody is bigger. They are equal, maybe. He's trying to make it equal, both of them, which is so beautifully done. Yet there was a strong message to the plagiarism, which he also felt once upon a time.
So, speaking about plagiarism, do you think that we are in an era where we are plagiarizing whole selves and not just products of art?
You mean ourselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you give us an example.
No, you mean to say the societal conditioning, I mean, we are victims of the past, right? We are all victims of our prejudices, our preconceived notions, our unexamined beliefs, and various the dogmatic traditions which have been handed over to us, which may not have been examined by our forefathers, foreparents rather. So, I mean, and like recently someone was saying now that the individual is individual is strangled by the power of society. That the power of the opportunity for individual expression is very little. So my question is that in this eagerness to fit in with what we think is the ideal as conveyed by someone whom we don't know, who may not have even thought about it, aren't we in a sense plagiarizing others? I mean, the individuality itself is, we are unable to see who we are. Do you think?
Wow.
You want to say something? Yeah.
I mean, it's a very interesting thought. There's a film called Everything for Sale. I don't know whether you've seen it. Many years. Yeah, it's one of the masters of Polish cinema, Andrzej Wajda. He made that film. Of course, many years back. I forget the Polish title of it, but in English it's Everything for Sale. And actually, he deals with exactly what you're talking about. It's made in the 70s, and how life imitates art, art imitates life, imitates others, imitates, you know, and finally everything is for sale. Like stories are for sale, emotions are for sale, inspiration is for sale. Like it's a huge comment on even artists, and it's a masterpiece, that film, Everything for Sale. So yeah, these thoughts, I think, are sort of floating in the community, in the storytelling community or the artistic community, or around people who think, like, you know, who express and who dwell with thoughts and ideas. That is it or is it not? Do we have answers to that? And I think, I don't know whether we have direct answers to anything, and I guess that's the function of artists, that we always question our curiosity, and we try and think and question from everything that we are seeing and experiencing, but often we don't have answers. We all are thinking.
But I hope you will help us direct to the right questions, if not the answers. Which
Yes, but that is the purpose, I think, of all stories and all art forms, is to actually help the artist as well as the viewer to ask questions.
To elevate our awareness about who we are.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you are sitting there, your nose which is sitting on your face could be from your great grandfather, and your ears are from grandmother. and your entire hardware is derived from your forefathers, and your software, which is your conditioning, is from the 7 generations according to the, again, mystic understanding of Indian mystic understanding. So are you a plagiarized version of your forefathers?
Even monkeys?
We all are. Sorry?
Of course.
Even monkeys and chimpanzees, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
if you
of
go
course,
back
of
to the
course.
Big Bang, I mean, it's a big debate. So it's a good question, and I think that these questions will finally lead us to ask what Ramana Maharshi asked, that who am I? This is my hand, these are my hand, these are my arms, these are my eyes, these are my thoughts, these are my emotions, but who does it belong to? Who is that I that this body belongs to? So it can go there. But art definitely is one of the great mediums, should become at least a great medium. If it is not, most of it is for the intent behind is only money, but not the awareness, to create awareness amongst the society. But it's going in that direction slowly. Content is becoming more, slowly deeper. And to help people, what Tanisha said, to ask questions. What are we doing here? The 5 W's that we ask: who, why, where, when, and what. These questions are actors' questions to practically help us act better in a scene. But if I bring those particular 5 W's and put it in our lives and ask me, who am I? And what am I doing here? When am I here? Where am I here? So these questions will lead us to a greater understanding of our existence, I think. And art should help that.
Well, a question of deep thought and an answer of deep thoughts. Thank you. On that note, can we have the next question, sir?
You get to ask 3 at the most. No, I'm just
Yes, please.
This one's for the producers. You were mentioning earlier that it was a 3-year process to bring the storyteller to the screen. Can you tell us about any sort of resistance in those early stages with financiers trying to raise the production money and get studios involved? And then at any point during this journey, did you ever felt like to give up and this wasn't going to happen?
I really thank you for asking this question. I mean, it's a long journey and long story. And in between, we also thought about plagiarism. Let us do something about that so that we can take it to the world. But the journey was very difficult, very, very difficult, because these days nobody, I wouldn't say permits, nobody is interested in doing such kind of films where they don't tag it as a commercial hit. But what we thought when it came to us, we thought it's a beautiful story, and story of a master called Satyajit Ray. And when he wrote, we had gone, we were floored, we were absolutely sold because of his emotion. Why he had written this story. There was a backstory. We were sold by the backstory, not the exact story what he has written today, what we have made it, a film. So much of emotion, so much of, as you said, as he was asking, what is the pain? What is the pain when you see your own stories getting plagiarized? How do you go through it? And you see, some master has written it in so much of with so much of humor. So that's the thing which actually moved us. Coming back to your question, yes, we had a very difficult time to sell this. We tried every studio everywhere except Geo Studio. Thankfully, when we took it to Geo Studio, and both Sanjay Ram and Shobha Sant, they said, "Ki we are doing it." And that's how we got the film, this is there today. This is a tremendous support of this studio who actually looks for these kind of stories, this kind of meaningful stories. We really, really thank them and grateful to them that we could do it with their help. But these last 3 years we tried everywhere. Nobody has accepted this. Sorry to say this.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question.
What was the budget?
Budget. Should we discuss budget?
Can you reveal numbers?
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering because 3 years, so how much, what are we looking at? What kind of
No,
figures?
we try to make it as minimum as possible. And whatever GS Studio has asked us to make it with, we have managed to do it. With the help of our actors who are way more, you know, I mean, they had cut their price. They were very considerate in doing it. With all our actors and all our technicians, by the way.
Thank you. My question is, where all was it screened outside India and the kind of reception you've received?
I think she can.
Fortunately, we've had a premiere at the Busan International Film Festival. We were also nominated for the Kim Ji-suk Award. The reception, we had 2 screenings there. The first screening was a smaller auditorium, and we were very iffy about how the response would be, because this is a typically Indian kind of humor, we thought, but the response was amazing. People laughed at the right places, and people came to us and told us that they really loved it. And the second screening was at a much larger auditorium 2 days later. I guess the word of mouth kind of worked. That one was full. And we had Adil was there with us. We had a very long Q&A session, which showed that people really loved the film, and they kind of were very curious about knowing a lot of things about it.
Just to add to ma'am's, the Indian premiere happened at IFFI 53 yesterday in Goa, and I was fortunate enough to join the premiere, and I must say the house was fully packed, and it was the audience received it really well, and even Twitter is trending. So the next question, please.
Know that.
We didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that information.
Any question from this side? This side of the section, please.
More questions? Oh.
Sir, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay, go ahead.
Of course. Yeah. Adil Hussain, you said that you said a bit.
मुझे बोल रहे हो अभी.
No, that is what you said, but the question is for everyone. Yeah. So, like you had made a beautiful statement that it is a role of artists to nurture empathy, right?
I believe. I don't know.
Of course. All of us believe here, I suppose, that because that is one of the foundational purpose and outcomes of great art.
Yes.
So this reminds me of the concept of emotional intelligence propounded by Daniel Goleman. And he says the 2 fundamental components of emotional intelligence are empathy and self-control. And just some time back, with regard to my first question, you were saying that you were afraid whether I am coming to some abrupt conclusions based upon watching only the trailer, which is also happens due to lack of self-control, right? The obsession with speed. So my question is, do you think that art has a role and responsibility in cultivating self-control also, and in helping us reclaim the lost attention and lost connections, helping us reclaim our focus, and if so, how can it be done? In fact, what Chatterjee ma'am was saying regarding the difficulty that you faced in getting producers, isn't that also symptomatic or rather representative of the same issue? I mean, I believe there is a very myopic view in the industry itself in terms of what kind of films should receive funding. Aren't they dumbing down and grossly underestimating the capacity of the audience for reflection and deep thought?
Wow.
And what is the way out of this?
You asked around 10 questions in that question, but great. The first one you said, empathy. It is not only, what is the name that you mentioned about emotional intelligence?
Daniel Goleman.
Daniel Goleman. It is there in Indian understanding for thousands of years. Like, for example, a simple line from a bhajan, Jaisi lagi lagan mira ho gayi. So when you become one with the other, then only you get to know the other. And that's like a fundamental wisdom which is there in Indian people. I have faced it, seen it. I traveled across the country for 2 years on my motorbike in 95 and 96, and I have seen this kind of wisdom. Those who didn't go to even school, or those who are not even literate, but they are highly educated, without going to school. So it is there within us. So we don't need to take any lessons from anybody else. But of course, people, those who are educated in modern schools like me, we need to get references from Western thinkers as well. Otherwise, don't believe in our thoughts, great wisdom which has come. And the second part that you have mentioned about, yes, I think art, unless it serves the purpose to elevate the awareness of people, those who are watching, witnessing the piece of art, I don't even call it art. I don't think so. You could be a dancer, but you may not be an artist. You could be an actor, but you may not be an artist. You are an actor, But to raise oneself, to rise above the basic function of an actor or a dancer or a piece of cinema, to go to reach the level of art, it needs that multiple perspective of one truth. Like Satyajit Ray, in his, as you have said, Suchandra was saying, that there's this amazing, that there is no animosity amongst he put this particular subject so beautifully that you feel for everybody. And that is what probably is the fundamental purpose of art. Then, of course, the sense of aesthetics and beauty, all these come into, to make you feel that you are proud to be born as a human being on this planet, and then you get to enjoy this beauty of nature, to appreciate that, to be able to see the nuances of creation. That is the purpose of art. Otherwise, for me, it is not art at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions?
Yes.
I have.
May I know your name, please?
My name is Deep Joy.
Sorry?
Deep Joy.
Deep Joy.
Deep Joy.
Mampalli, yeah.
Which part of the world are you from?
Kolkata.
Well,
Now I am asking the questions. It's not a very difficult one. Do you remember which
depends
part?
on the world. Anyway, but I'm from Kerala, Cochin.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. So how do I know that? Not because of your accent, but thank you so much for asking wonderful questions.
Shall I ask one more?
Ask them.
Yeah, so basically I understand that the film is about storytelling, and it is the film conveys the message that one should not procrastinate, and the character is someone who I think has been postponing the beginning of his creation of the work of art, right? So when we are speaking about writing stories, the natural complementary activity which comes to mind is reading, right? So I am reminded of what Neil Postman, American author, said in his 1985 book called Amusing Ourselves to Death. He says that what George Orwell feared were those who would ban books. What Aldous Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. So I believe we are far past that age, unfortunately. We have already in that age. Though there is a revival of interest in Indian citizens also towards reading, but broadly we have a problem. So
now we are worried Twitter will die.
I think.
So if I just complete my question. So basically, how do you think about this issue? And I would also like to ask, how would you think Satyajit Ray would have thought about this question, and if he were alive today, which we believe he is, how would he respond to this?
You to write a story.
I think he would write a story. He would make a film, because that's how he expressed himself. He would create a piece of music or a sketch.
Or an illustration,
And we all are doing that. But having heard that first part of your question, I think things go in cycles. And because I have a young daughter, Adil also has a son, and when I see children now, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, the amount of reading that they do, it's amazing. So I think it's going to come back, because all my daughter's friends and their circle of friends, they have read and they read stuff which I didn't even think of when I was 7 years old. You know, my daughter reads Roald Dahl.
On the phone, but
Yeah, not on the phone, books.
Yeah, proper
I'm
books,
talking
not
about
Kindle
books.
and all.
Yeah, not. And then, of course, there's other sort of kids who are on their iPads and, you know, all the time, and they're playing video games as well. But there's also a lot of young children who are reading a lot and questioning. So it's not all that doom and gloom. I would like to believe, at least from the surroundings that I see, and there is hope with children. And the kind of questions that they ask, the kind of empathy that they have for the world. I mean, where you do see teenagers and kids who do not have empathy at all, and they're growing up in a very privileged sort of upbringing where they're getting everything without asking for it, and they take things for granted. You also do see kids who are very empathetic towards nature, towards animals, towards other human beings and other children, much more than we were aware, you know, at that age.
Yeah.
So that's also happening. So there is, yes, that's also there. So, yeah, so I would like to believe that there will always be the forces of, you know, in a very traditional way, the good and the evil or whatever. That fight has always been there in the world, whether we read our epics, their epics, everywhere, you know, the fight between these forces where you are talking about the morals, virtues, values versus something which is selfish, greed, oppressive. This fight has always been there, and it is still there, and the fact that we talk about it, we question it, we think about it, we are worried about it, is a good sign.
Thank you, Tanisha ma'am. I believe we are running short of time. I think.
Sanjay, kuch karo.
Just one last question. Last question.
Very short one, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, Tanisha, you had said something about the issue of copyright, right? Because there is a copyright, we are not able to use old songs and not make freely. We are not able to freely use old products of art in coming out with inspirational products today. So you also talked about the medical issue of patents and all. So do you think there should be some legislation whereby you put an end date to the copyright, let us say for only 5 years or 10 years, or even probably no copyright should be there at all, so that, because I believe a great artist will not be worried about these things. He will be not worried, he or she will not be worried if someone copies it.
Yeah, I mean, as a human entity in this universe, or, you know, a living entity, whatever, that's what I would like to have. A universe free of, but yeah, I mean,
a bad copy will hurt.
No, but I'm not talking like in terms of realism, you know what as an idea, as a thought and an idea, I would like a universe which is free of any of these things that we're talking about, of capital actually, you know, putting price tags. But yeah, I mean, that is not the real world that we live in, and maybe there's a larger purpose to not having it so easy at this point of time. I don't know the answer, because I think the universe and its schemes are much bigger than what we understand, and maybe, you know, what is happening today and the struggles that we have with law has a larger purpose, you know. I don't know that, but yeah, with certain things, especially I think with science, I would like it to be, but you know, then there are people who are also investing money in those labs. So I don't have an answer to that. I would want it to be free, but I don't know how.
I think we should try for it, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we had a deep discourse on a lot of topics. So we'd like to thank Geo Studios, Quest Films, Purpose Entertainment, the producers, actors of the Storyteller. Thank you very
so
much.
much.